Minister, I'd say you're blue in the face now from answering questions about the National Broadband Plan, and it's a constant theme inside here. But I suppose we are here to voice the concerns of many of our own constituents in our own constituencies. And I'm losing track myself of the number of PQs that I have lodged in this area myself. But if I could just get an up-to-date report on the rollout in Cork North Central area, thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. And I'm not complaining about answering questions. It's my job, and I have been asked about Cork North Central in the past. And the more that you ask those questions, the more that things are likely to happen in a faster way in that area. So you're right to do it. There are over 276,000 premises in County Cork, of which over 80,000 are within the National Broadband Plan intervention area. The government will invest in the order of €314 million to bring those premises up to high-speed broadband. I'm advised by National Broadband Ireland that as of the 27th of October 2021, almost 26,000 premises in Cork have been surveyed in total, and over 272,000 premises in the intervention area across all counties have been surveyed, with over 115,000 premises under construction across 30 deployment areas. Retail service providers are actively selling on the NBI network, with over 30,000 premises available to order and pre-order in counties Carlow, Cavan, Clare, Cork, Galway, Kerry, Limerick, Monaghan, Roscommon, Tipperary and Wicklow, and this includes over 4,500 premises in County Cork. NBI's fibre network architecture is centred around existing open-air exchanges and the state-owned metropolitan area networks. This strategy is based on engineering design principles that allow every premises to be passed as quickly and as efficiently as possible. The fibre network is divided up into 227 deployment areas. Each deployment area is centred around existing regional or local exchanges. The areas referred to in the questions are covered by a number of different deployment areas, and therefore the timescale for premises being passed by the new high-speed broadband network will vary. Surveys are complete in County Cork in the deployment areas of Carrigaline, Middleton, Youghal, Temple Martin and Tallow. Main build works are currently underway in Middleton and Youghal and are complete in Carrigaline. And I'm advised that premises will be available for connection in the Middleton deployment area in the first half of 2022. And this covers the areas of North Esk, Carby Town and Rougraine. Further details are available on specific areas within County Cork through the NBI website, which provides a facility for people living within the intervention area to register their interest in being provided with deployment updates at nbi.ie. Broadband connection points are a key element of the MBP, and as of the 27th of October, 386 BCP sites have been installed. Thank you.
Yeah, Cormagut, Ara. Yeah, look, thanks for the up-to-date, and I suppose every time I do lodge the PQ, as you said, the numbers are changing and increasing, so that's welcome, as is the investment that you detailed. The difficulty I do have with the responses that we are getting, though, is I'm hearing lots about Middleton, and no disrespect to Middleton, it's in another constituency, and best of luck to them. But I'm hearing about many other different towns and townlands, and unfortunately very few then in my own constituency of Cork North Central, until you mentioned Rougraine there and the Caherlog, Carby Town area, which would be a rural and you know, isolated enough area. So that is welcome. But however, you know, ourselves in Cork North Central, I know Deputy Gould was to share the question with me, we'd be seriously concerned about, you know, the lack of rollout in our own immediate area. And I'd just like to add that I suppose, you know, the delays in the broadband plan rollout have been well documented, and I know the Secretary General of the Department of the Environment was before the PAC committee recently, and I suppose we're all aware that, you know, it is an estimated 50% behind where it's supposed to be, and that is obviously concerning.
So the deployment areas, which are about 4,000 customers for each one, they don't match the constituencies, and so we have 3 different deployment areas that are covering through Cork North Central, and you know, some large parts of those deployment areas are not in your constituency, and that's why I'm sort of mentioning areas that are outside of where you are. I can say too that, you know, I think there's Clucking Mixed National School in Carrigrahan, Gael Scully Driscoll, Lower Glanmire National School, Skulnave Vuren in Berings, Skulnave Wura, Ropacan, Skulnave Porg Nefa in Whitechurch, Skull Creesa and Vickerstown Mixed National School are all prioritised for rollout over the next 15 months. So that would mean that, you know, all those schools, and also if there are areas where you think that a broadband connection point can go on, would be suitable, I can ask for that to be looked into. And additionally, Air and Cyro are connecting many more homes within your constituency, and you should speak to those as well. But if you have specific homes that can't get decent broadband, and if you contact the department, I'll try and help you.
And I'd welcome many of those schools that you've mentioned in terms of being connected as broadband connection points. And I again welcome that, that has gone up from 302, I think, the last time that I asked this PQ, to 386, I think you mentioned earlier, so that is welcome as well. And there's no doubt that there's progress being made. It is just that bit slower than we all hope, and I suppose the demand is there. People are demanding this service. Could I just ask you, Minister, one last question in relation to, like, the surveying is complete in Cork, you said, and that's great. But going forward, in terms of all these big contracts that are out for tender, there are inevitably, penalties and other, I suppose, powers at your disposal. Now, I'm not going to ask you about your, whether you would or wouldn't use or, enforce any of these, but I'm just asking you if could you go into the detail or the specifics in relation to the contract, what powers you do have in relation to any tardiness or, any further delays in terms of the rollout? Thank you.
Minister, to conclude.
Yes, so when I started off in this role, I contacted the company to say that I would be applying all of the penalties that I could legally apply, and that there wouldn't be any mercy shown, because I didn't want to set an idea that I would overlook things and that we would just try and work together. There are a range of penalty clauses that apply for being late with the delivery of with installation, but there are also penalty clauses that apply if the service is unreliable. So if the service is dropping, for example, there are specific euro amounts that are charged. There is a period of grace for the first 2 years of the contract, during which the penalty clauses for late installation are not applied, and that time runs out in February of next year. So from then on, anything that's late if anything's late, they get charged. And finally, the National Broadband Ireland only gets paid for what they do. So each time they connect an entire deployment area, which is 4,000 people, they get a sum of money. They get a very large sum of money for each one that they connect. So that they're not paid if they're not connecting, is what it comes to.